Welcome to Personal Mastery Training. I'm your host, Alvin Brown, former world-class athlete turned entrepreneur and consultant. Join us as we learn from guests who have conquered their inner battles and share their journeys to success. Get ready for inspirational masterclasses and thought-provoking strategy sessions to fuel your path to personal mastery. Let's dive in. Hey everybody, what's going on? All right, welcome to another strategy episode. Here's what I want to talk about today in this episode. You don't have what it takes. That's just it. You don't have what it takes to go the distance. All right, so I'm not going to leave you there. I got more for you. Here's the thing. I was in a group coaching, facilitating a group coaching call. And one of the person on there, he wanted to do something different for his business and change his demographics and, go after this market that I think he was passionate about it. But he admitted that he doesn't have what it takes to do that industry because he had this identity. See, he wanted to go after athletes, but he said, "Oh, I'm not an athlete. So, I'm not an elite athlete. I'm not an athlete. So I really wanted to coach this group, but I'm not." See, all he could think of was what he's not. So it made me think about, because the feedback I had from him is, well, you're not going to make it in that industry. You're not going to make it. But why? That was a strange answer, right? I'm supposed to be coaching him. Well, I said, you're not going to make it for one reason. For one reason, I think you won't make it in that industry. Why? Because your mindset, you're going into it with a defeated attitude already. Who's going to buy from you when you're already going in thinking, I don't deserve this? No wonder imposter syndrome sneaks up on us. So here's how I flipped it on him. I said, did you realize that most coaches, legendary, world-class GOAT coaches, greatest of all time, do you realize that they weren't great players? They weren't number one on their team. And flip side, most great players don't make great coaches. Why? Because they thought it was easy for them to get there. They didn't realize that they can't break down how they got there because they didn't have to struggle. Maybe they were gifted. Maybe they had a little bit of luck, a bit of this, bit of that, whatever, natural gifts, who knows? But they can't break it down. While someone who struggled, someone who took the long road, someone who had the bumpy road, someone who had all the challenges, roadblocks, everything else to get there had to stop and break it down. How did I do it? And then they can teach it to someone else. So you see, he was so busy caught up with what he's not that it stopped him from moving toward his greatness. So I thought about it, and he's not the only one. We all do this in some form. We can all list 1,000 things we're not, and maybe 2 that we are. Right? Most of us can think of, and it's a protective mechanism, I get it, that we would rather beat ourselves up, self-deprecating. We'd rather beat ourselves up first before outside gets to us. Because if we can get through us, geez, comments and judgment outside won't be that bad. So why not shield ourselves by beating ourselves up? But here's the problem. When we beat ourselves up, we don't prepare ourselves to be winners in that category or to elevate ourselves. We're already lost. We're already defeated because the greatest critic that we need to get over is us. And if the enemy starts putting you down right away, which is us, chances are we're going to struggle to be successful. So that made me think now. Here's an exercise I'm going to give to my clients and those of you who listen and those who I encourage to grab a journal. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about an area that you want to get great at. And it doesn't matter if it's professional or it could be being a parent, being a better person, whatever it is. Something to do with you elevating your game. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to exhaust the 1,000 things, I'm exaggerating here, but whatever, the 1,000 things that you are not great at. The 1,000 things that make you not right for this thing you want to do. Exhausted. Write it all down. I'm not good enough for this. I'm not good enough for that. I don't have the education. I don't have the money. I don't have the resources. I don't have the background. Blah, blah, blah. The support, you name it. Dump it all out. Barf it all out on a piece of paper why you're not good at it. Now, here's what I want you to do on the flip side. Write down the two things you may be good at then. Write down, if you hopefully you can find at least one or two. Because if we can find the one or two, we're going to accentuate your strengths and stay away from what you think you're not good at. Because all you need to do is start. All you need to do is get going in that area that you want to be great at. And then everything, the consistency, everything will build from there. I'm working on a new book now, about to come out this year, The 4 Pillars of Mastery. And the fourth pillar is consistency. Because you see, when you're consistent and stay in your lane, it builds the rest of the pillars, which the rest are being committed, being courageous, and being clear. Those are the other 3 pillars. But consistency is key. See, so if you can think about it now, this I'll give you the advice I gave him. What are you good at? So I'm not an athlete. So here's the narrative I wanted him to change it to. I want to work with elite athletes and athletic people, but I'm not an athlete myself. However, here's the but and the however. However, I'm a great coach to athletes. And so think about that. If that's a narrative, admit, yeah, you know what? I was never number one on my team. I was never this. I was never that. But I'm a great coach to those people because I've studied it. I've done the work. I've put in the work. I've found out what I could do to help. Right? So think about that. Anything you want to do. Let's say I'm going to use it on me. I'm not the number one podcaster out there. I am not, I don't have best-selling on New York bestseller list. I don't have this. I don't have that. I can list a bunch of things that I'm not. But here's what I am. I've written a book. The second one's coming out. So I'm going to double down on that. I've gone through, I was a boxer. I wanted to get to the Olympics. However, I learned a lot about helping others to get to their Olympics, whatever that might be for them. I'm really passionate about helping you to master my struggles with my mental game when I was at performing in all areas. I'm using that to fuel me now to push you, to give you the information, the passion I have to share my 30 years of working with thousands of people. I'm giving that to you now because I may not have, and that ship's passed. I may not have gotten to that Olympics performing as an athlete, boxer, martial artist. However, here's what I am. I'm persistent. I am relentless. I've got work ethic, integrity, respect, all of those things. That's what I have. And I'm going to stay in my lane. So I can go ahead and list out the thousands of things I'm not, but there's a few things that I am. And I'm going to double down on those. I'm going to extrapolate on those. I'm going to build on those because once I can build on those things, then everything else comes after it. So go ahead. Tell me everything you're not. But now tell me the one or two. Hopefully you can find one. I'm sure and I'm saying hopefully there is a lot, but knowing how some people think, they can't think of anything that's great about themselves because they have this narrative. So I want you to push yourself. If you're that type who says that there's nothing about me, impossible, but in case that's your narrative, push yourself to find one thing. I'm a good friend, whatever it is. I'm a good supporter. I am good at something. Come on, find it. And then we're going to double down on it. Let's say all you can find is I'm a good friend to somebody else. Good. What about that then? That means that if you can be a good friend to them, there's something in you that's supportive. There's something in you that gives them support and hope. So let's extrapolate that. Let's build on that into something else. You name it. Just throw me anything. You can find something. There's always something. It's just that you got to get out of your own way and find it. And then what we do is we double down, triple down. We just stay in that lane and we maximize the hell out of it. It reminds me of Mariano Rivera. Mariano Rivera. He played for the Yankees back in the day. He was a closer. Mariano had one pitch. Everybody knew what this damn pitch was. Fastball, something coming down the pipe. They knew what it was. What could they do about it? Nothing. This guy went to the Hall of Fame with one pitch. You're standing on the mound going, I know what this guy's pitching. But he mastered the one thing he was great at. He didn't pitch 5 selections. No, you knew what was coming. So let's be the Mariano Rivera in our own lives. Let's take the one thing. You got many, but let's take the one thing you're great at and let's double down on it. Let's become Hall of Fame. Let's become a GOAT on that one thing. You get me? So I think I've pretty much said it all, right? Write down, if you're so busy thinking about what you're not good at, I want you to write down write them all down, spit them out on paper, get them all out of you, puke them out, puke your guts out. Tell me everything you're not good at. Now tell me the few that you can think of that you are good at, and let's go for it. Let's break that one down. All right. So do that. This is something I'm going to be including in my coaching series with my clients, seminars, you name it, because it's super important. Because too many times we spend so much of our energy and effort on what we're not good at, disregarding the amazing things we bring to the table. All right. Until next time, do that strategy, and I will like, subscribe, share. If somebody you know need to hear this information, you hear them always beating themselves up, but they're never talking about, and you can see what they're great at, by the way. They can't. They just go blind to it. So if you know somebody who would love to, need this information, beating themselves up, who has everything they can to elevate, and they won't, share this. All right, until next time, peace. All right, we'll talk.